Well, thank you so much for joining us for our virtual Collette Travel Night. I'm Greg Barry, Director of Communications in the Office of Alumni Affairs. Since we're coming to you virtually, please excuse technical issues or glitches that may pop up. Have an issue with your video or audio, click the reconnect button to get back to the webinar quickly. Before we begin, which trip are you most interested in? I'm going to go ahead and publish this poll, and we've got 3 of them. Is it the Memorials of World War II featuring the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landing next June? Maybe it's the Canadian Rockies and Glacier National Park trip coming up in July. Or what about the Discover Switzerland, Austria, and Bavaria trip set for next fall? And just a heads up, a recording of tonight's presentation will be uploaded onto our website tomorrow. Also, if you have any questions for Jack, please toss them in the chat. Jack is ready to answer just about anything and everything about these trips. I do want to point out that the Shades of Ireland trip is sold out. We are excited. We are full of UAB Blazers on that. I think, Jack, we're at about 16. So we're only accepting right now wait-listed guests. Right now, Canadian Rockies and Glacier National Park is number 1 with half of our audience's vote. Discover Switzerland, Austria, and Bavaria second with 30%, and then 20% are the Memorials of World War II, which is going to be a sellout for the overall trip. So at this time, I would like to introduce our guest. Jack Brinson has been here before. He's a senior business development manager with Collette, a family-owned business company that offers tours to all 7 continents. Jack, welcome back, and we're excited to hear about these 3 upcoming trips.
Thank you very much. And as Greg mentioned, we've been around 106 years. We are a debt-free family-owned company in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and we give away the trips on Wheel of Fortune, so we are that company. And so a little bit about us. We're in our 3rd generation and had a relationship with the Wheel for 27 years. We specialize in 4-star or better accommodations strategically located so that when you do have free time, everything is relatively close to where you're going to be. Everything is facilitated by a tour manager that meets you in the destination. They load your bags onto the coach, take you to your hotel rooms, go get your hotel keys, bring them out to you, take your bags to your room. You don't stand in any lines. You don't think when you go on our trips. And probably the most the best thing about what we do is we're a completely debt-free company. And even after the pandemic, we are a debt-free company, even after giving back $181 million during the pandemic, including insurance to those that were traveling with us. So again, everything is perfectly paced. It's set up by a tour team that basically goes into the destinations. They sleep in the beds. They experience the tour ahead of time. So so we know what you are going to expect, and you know that when I show you something, we've done it ourselves, and we have product teams all over the world on all 7 continents that specialize in that. So that's a little bit about the setup for our tours. The first tour we're going to talk about is the Memorials of War, featuring the 80th anniversary of D-Day. I did this tour last November to try it out. The entire company actually went there to do this exact tour celebrating the 80th anniversary. The last one, the families are going to take control over. And then moving forward after that is just going to be more of a memorandum of everything. So a 10-day, 12-meal program starts in London, heads down to Portsmouth, and then, of course, we're going to start off with the landing sites, and then we're going to end up in Paris at the very end. So with that being said, we're going to start off 2 nights in London. We're going to focus on the major sites first, and then we're going to kind of hone in on the D-Day specifics. So the statue of Winston Churchill. We will take you out and show you a few other things along the Thames River. The Thames is known for its British victories over the French. So all the street names are named after British victories over the French. So we'll take you on a little brief city tour, then have a nice welcome dinner before we head out the next day. And we will start out by kind of doing a narrated tour of the London Blitz and show you some of the posts where Churchill had to set up. One of the main places that he had to set up out of sight of Luttwaffe is St. Paul's Cathedral. You obviously know the other history of St. Paul's Cathedral as well, but we're going to show you it from a war perspective. And then we are going to take you and show you the memorial, as well as we're going to show you the Churchill War Rooms. We're going to show you all of that stuff while we're there. You will have free time throughout if you want to go to the London Eye, if you want to see Buckingham Palace, all of that. And so it's going to be challenging next year, and that's why space is so hard for this trip, because of the Olympics going on in Paris during the summer months. And so space has been extremely limited on this trip, and that's one of the main reasons. So we are going to take you down to the coast, but while we're there, we are going to show you a couple of museums. There's a D-Day Storm Museum. You'll learn about all the events that led up to D-Day. The weather parameters that basically made us or forced us into landing when we did on June the 6th. There was a narrow window, and Rommel was not there. He was at a wedding. He was nowhere to be found, and so we thought that it would be the best opportunity for us to take them by surprise. We actually flooded their airwaves with information about us storming another area. And in fact, we set up an entire Goodyear Tire Company provided a lot of blow-up tank divisions and whatnot. And so we actually dropped those in a particular area that was far away from where we actually stormed. And so all of that had to go into effect with pristine timing in order to pull it off. And that's exactly what we did. And one of the things we are going to do while we're there is we're going to embark on a wine tasting first, and then we are going to then cross the English Channel. We are going to cross it heading in the same route that our troops would have traveled as well, and then we are going to make it into the landing areas. Now, there are several different ones, so we're going to start at Sword Beach. We are going to get out. We are going to see Sword Beach and have a narrated tour by a local. All of this is, again, going to be narrated by families, and everyone's going to recount handwritten documents. Everything's going to be it's going to be very, very, very powerful as far as how this is laid out. So we're going to spend 3 nights in Cannes, and we're going to head out from there each day. This is a very manageable city to maneuver around in, to walk anywhere you want to walk. But really, we're just staying there because we got to go out each day. And we're going to start off the next day with the Peace Memorial Museum. Now, they have a lot of live reels, a lot of the weapons and uniforms on both sides. All of that's going to be very interactive when you get in there. They even have a couple of planes suspended from the ceiling, but they're going to have an IMAX theater that's going to give you an intro to it. And then we're going to walk you through all the different stages of the landing sites. They even had scaled down versions of the landings and where the Allied forces were in their respective landing sites. They will also then, you'll stand under pods, and they'll have live feeds that were going on during that exact same time. So it'll be a very powerful experience for you. And then from there, we're going to show you, this is Mulberry Harbor here. So we are going to go out and see this. Now, hopefully the tide, we try to time it just right so the tide's low so you can actually get out there and walk around. Those are the floating bridges. And because of the beaches, the way that they were, you couldn't send tanks and other things on those beaches because obviously they would sink down. So they had these floating bridges that were brought in to help the heavier vehicles maneuver around. And you can go out there on low tide and see all of this, and that's what you're seeing here in this picture. And we are going to travel along some of the ways where we barraged with our Air Force, basically just bombing all along the coastline. We actually missed a lot of these fortified areas, and you'll see the craters all the way around it. And even to the day, they have the minefields blocked off because they can't find all of the mines. So they have them blocked off so you can't really go. in certain areas, but they will allow you to go in some of these bunkers. And basically, it was a numbers game. And so we barraged them with bombings in the, on the frontal side over the top. Then we had our paratroopers coming in from the back. And then, of course, we just barraged them with as many people on a frontal assault as we possibly could. There were some areas that particular day that the men had to scale up cliffs with their javelin hooks. And they climbed up to the top, and when they got there, they were so worn out, the Nazis just basically showed them compassion and didn't kill them as they came over the top. They were just so worn out. They felt bad for them. And so it was, like I said, it's so interesting to see everything that went along in that particular area. We are going to take you to the Normandy American Cemetery. And what's so unique about this is, if you're looking for someone in particular, through GPS, they can take you through to an exact spot. You'll get a chance to see it. You'll see the landing sites done up with a map there, and you'll see personal notes and everything else that are going to be there. And so, anyways, it's a very, very, very powerful day. You're going to walk through the center of the cemetery, and you'll walk around the sides there closer to the ocean. And you'll walk inside of the memorial that's actually right in the center of that area. And so Omaha Beach, you will get a chance to see this, and this is a very, this is just an amazing site. I remember when I was sitting there, no one says a word. Everybody sits on the steps and catches it all, and it is absolutely, absolutely powerful. I mean. If you know anybody that served, that particularly this particular time frame that was there, the stories that they bring back are unbelievable. Utah Beach is another one of the sites. We generally end the day with that landing site as well, and then from there we'll take you to Pointe du Hoc, which is the Ranger Memorial, and again you can walk around through this particular area. And again, this is another one of the areas that has the minefields, and they'll kind of show you that as well. And then in Saint Mary Cleese, we'll show you the Airborne Museum, and you'll see the John Steele Memorial. That's what this is here. They actually have a stained glass mural on the side of the church that is of an airborne ranger. You will get a chance to, while you're there, not only go in the church, but you can go into the museum. It's indoor and outdoor. They have tanks, they have gliders, they have everything from the landing sites, as well as some of the Goodyear blow up stuff as well. They even have these scaled down. They're probably 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet tall, but they're miniature soldiers, paratroopers that look like soldiers coming down out of the sky, and they had voice recorders on them saying things as they were coming down. And so you'll get a chance to see all of that when you go into the museum. From there, we're going to take you into Giverny, and you'll get a chance to see Monet's gardens. You'll see the castle that lies on the grounds as well. And so that's another nice stop. That wasn't previously included for the 75th anniversary, but so many people wanted to see that. And so that is why we have now included it. From there, we will take you into the City of the Lights. And so you will see Paris. You'll do a city tour of Paris. You'll also have an option if you'd like to do a dinner theater and cabaret. The cabarets last about 4 hours. And so you'll have dinner, champagne, show, even more champagne, and then you'll call it a night. And so we'll start the next day with the Arc of Triumph. We'll travel down Champs-Élysées, and you can try your macarons, your macaroons, etc., all throughout that area. And then we will take you outside of the city into the Luxembourg Gardens. And you do have time if you wanted to go out to Versailles. It's about 20 miles outside the city, but it takes an hour by train to get there. And so some folks do want that opportunity to do that. And you also have an opportunity to do the Louvre. As you get closer into the trip, your guide will coordinate with you if you'd like to do that, and then just let us know if that's your ambition. But we are going to do a Seine River cruise at dusk. We do that. We do a nice dinner, and then, of course, you then depart out the next day. Excellent tour, though, from start to finish. It is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So the next tour we're going to talk about is the Canadian Rockies with Glacier National Park. And the Canadian Rockies was the #1 selling destination for 13 straight years before Iceland beat it out. And then Ireland beat it out. And then Ireland and Iceland continue to go back and forth with the #1 selling destination. But the Canadian Rockies is always in the top 5. And this particular tour was created because so many people not only wanted the Canadian Rockies, but they also wanted to get down into Glacier National Park. A lot of folks have been to Yellowstone and a few of the other areas, but they have not made it to Glacier. This actually gives you 2 nights down in Waterton Lakes National Park with a day trip into Glacier. And so there's a couple of unique things we're going to do on this trip, but we are going to fly in and out of Calgary. You're going to head down into Waterton Lakes for 2 nights, head up to Banff for 2 nights, and then you're going to go out each day from there. It's very much a hub and spoke tour. So we're going to start off in Calgary, the site of the '88 Olympics, the Cool Runnings Olympics. And not only is it famous for that, but it's also famous to the famous Calgary Stampede that happens every July, the first 2 weeks there. 100,000 people ascend on this city. It is the largest rodeo in the world. From there, we're going to travel south. And we are going to head into Waterton Lakes. But first, we're going to stop at a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump. Yes, that is the name of the area. And a lot of the Native Americans, North Americans, they would, in movies, they were depicted as riding horseback and shooting buffalo in stampede fashion. They may have done that at some point, but they probably realized shortly thereafter that probably wasn't the best way to harvest such a massive animal, especially if you've seen their bow and arrows from way back when. And so what they would typically do is they would set up camp at the bottom of a ravine. They would find out where the buffalo were grazing, then scare them into a stampede. They would then run to the edge of the stampede, and they would just keep pushing each other until they started falling over the side, and then they were safely harvested at the other end. But that is why this is Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump. So our Native American buffalo are actually bison. The French were the first to discover them. They called them le boeuf, or boeuf, which meant big scary monster. And the reason they're called, buffalo obviously is because of that. But the difference between a buffalo and a bison is a buffalo is in a Cape buffalo in Africa can raise its head above its shoulders, and a bison cannot. But they're pretty much on the menu pretty much everywhere, and they are the most temperamental animal on the planet as far as the mammals go. And you'll see all sorts of animals when you're in the national parks there. The one animal you probably won't see very much of are whitetail, but you'll see your blacktails, you'll see your muleys, you'll see the elk, and maybe a moose, and hopefully a bear or two. I was just up there in April, and I was fortunate enough to see a grizzly bear the last time I was up there. So we are going to head south. We will stop at the Prince of Wales in Waterton Lake. We used to stay at this very hotel, but there was a few things that kind of hindered this tour with this hotel. Number one, no air conditioning of any kind. They because of the national parks rules, you can't even swat a mosquito here, and there are no elevators. So getting luggage and getting up and down the stairs at this place was a bit of a challenge. But I think we all can agree the scenery is unbelievable, and you'll get a chance to take pictures all the way around. And so that's at Waterton Lake, and so we are going to head down into Glacier. And one of the things we're going to do in Glacier National Park is we're going to travel going to the Sun Road. And this is only open during the summer months that the 1930s Fords and the roofs peel back. and you'll travel going to the Sun Road, a 59-mile drive, and you're basically just standing up out of the top of this car as it's driving slowly, so you can take nice pictures. That's an example of what it looks like there. And as you can see, you'll start making your way into the Rockies, into going to the Sun. See how small the vehicles are. You can see the oxygen line, and then, of course, just rock above that. And so you may see a few of the Dall sheep. Now, the rams, their horns don't naturally curl that way. What makes them curl is headbutting each other, and that's what causes them to curl. So from there, we'll travel up Bow Falls, and you'll also see Bow Lake while you're there, and then we'll also take you out and show you the hoodoos, which are formed from wind and water erosion. It's known as the land of the sleeping giants. And then from there, we're going to travel Icefields Parkway. It's 110 miles, and it's known as the 1,000 Switzerlands. Down at the very bottom of the screen, you can see those tiny little structures down there. That's a bus and a couple of cars, just to give you an idea of how big these mountains are. Some of them are so high you can literally look as far as your neck will allow, and you just can't turn anymore and can't see the top of these mountains. They're that high. But we're going to go into Jasper National Park, and we will take you out to see Athabasca Falls. Shortly thereafter, you'll see views of Athabasca Glacier. Now, you get to pick whichever one of these options you would like to do. They're included, so the snow coach or the sky walk. And so the snow coach is there are 13 of them in existence. I think they're trying to bump it up to 20 or so, but they have tires on them that will not hurt the glacier, and you will ascend and descend 60-degree angles, but they have a grand top speed of 5 miles an hour. And again, you can get out and walk onto Athabasca Glacier, which is as thick as the Eiffel Tower is tall, so 1,000-foot thick glacier. And then the Glacier Skywalk, that is a marvel in itself. You're 1,000 feet up off the ground. They have another one similar to it at Grand Canyon. But you basically walk out on this and you can view the glacier in untouched landscape. And I will tell you, the floor of this thing is glass. You can see through it all the way down, and it is suspended, and you'll have a narrated tour of it with a handheld device kind of telling you all about it. So you basically pick one or the other. Pick one to start with, and then if you get on the tour and you feel differently about it, you can always change your mind and do the other instead. But again, those are choice on tours. The next stop we're going to make is at Peyto Lake. It's known for its deep turquoise waters there, and the most iconic feature is that it takes the shape of a fox, and you can look and you can see the ears and the snout there, and that is Peyto Lake. And you may see one of the 34 resident grizzly bears there at Lake Louise, and we do make a stop there so you can get a chance to see that. But that is at Lake Louise, and they have this beautiful ski lift that goes up there, and that's where the bears are free ranging. You'll also see a lot of animal highways. They basically just ran the roads underneath them, and then the animals can safely cross over you from one side of the road to the other. And they made it look like a land bridge. So trees and all are on it. It looks very natural. And so this is the ski resort, which you'll take a gondola up to the top and take a beautiful picture of all of Lake Louise down below you. And you may even see one of the grizzly bears there. From there, we take you into Calgary, and then you will then fly out the next day. So that's a great tour, though, like I said, from start to finish. I have groups that'll do this trip more than once throughout the years because it's that popular of a trip. The last tour we're going to talk about is Switzerland, Austria, Bavaria. This is a 10-day, 13-meal program. And what I like about this tour is it is 4 nights in Bern, 4 nights in Innsbruck, Austria. So you go out each day and you come back to one of 2 hotels. So for a 10-day tour, staying in 2 hotels makes this a pretty laid-back tour. So It's a generally a scale on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being most strenuous, 1 being least strenuous. This is a 2. And there is an extension, a post extension for 3 nights in Vienna, which is a very beautiful city. I was just there a month and a half ago, and never gets old seeing beautiful cities like that. Going to fly into Zurich out of Munich. So we'll start off in Bern, and you'll see the remnants of the bear pits. They're trying to get rid of the bears, but the Archduke wanted to kill name the area after the first animal he killed, hence the Bear of Bern. So you'll see the Bern bear pits everywhere. And this is their main area here. You'll see their glockenspiel there in the middle. And a lot of electric vehicles all the way throughout. And we do take you out for a cheese fondue dinner, a welcome dinner that evening. And so we'll walk from the hotel there. It's a very short walk to get there. You'll actually walk past the Parliament building, and then you'll be there. You're staying in the old town, so there's a bridge and a moat that goes around it. Basically, the city center swirls outward from there, and then, of course, the modern section is all out there. But you want to stay in the old town amongst everything, so that's what makes that very nice. And this is what it looks like. You'll get a chance to take this very picture here. You'll see the cathedral there. You'll get a chance to tour it while you're there. You can barely see in the middle there. That's that main street, the shopping street that goes through there. A lot of folks, they fall in love with fondue so much, myself included, that you will go and buy a fondue set. And I will tell you that I have never used it. And but at the time, it seemed like a great idea because fondue was everywhere, but have not brought it out since I've been back. But they have a funicular where you can actually go up to the top and overlook all of the area, and you'll have ample amount of time to do that. Your guide will show you where to go and what to do when you do that. And then we're going to go out, and from there, we're going to head into the countryside and see Switzerland. And it's just absolutely beautiful. The Swiss Alps are absolutely amazing. It has no native language, so depending on what side of the country you live in, you'll speak French, German, or Italian. And then we also show you the Alp horns, how they're made and how loud they are, etc. And then, of course, you can try your hand in that as well. Very loud, a lot of noise. And then, of course, the Swiss fondue. That's actually looks like a chocolate fondue there, done at the very end of the touring day. So a lot of folks will start off with the cheese fondue, and then they'll work their way into the dessert ones. Perfectly fine. That is absolutely fine with that. And then from there, we take you into Lake Lucerne, which is known as the Swiss paradise on the lake. This is where you would get some of the swatches and the Swiss Army knives and all that stuff. This is a great area for that as far as the souvenirs go. Now, for the city itself, it's known for Chapel Bridge, where you can kind of see it at the bottom of the screen there. It has 112 murals painted in the top, and the bridge actually caught on fire in the late 80s. They preserved the murals that were saved, put them in a museum, reconstructed them all, and put them back in the bridge there. And you'll also, while you're there, you'll get a chance to get a narrated tour of that, as well as the museum. And then we'll take you out and show you the Dying Lion Monument, which is kind of an iconic symbol. It's like our Statue of Liberty, but it's in that. To them, it's their Swiss soldiers that lost their lives to France and whatnot during all of their spouts. We are going to take you to a wine pairing and wine tasting, so you can get a chance to try some of that beautiful Swiss wine, as well as we will then take you out and show you one of the smallest European countries, Liechtenstein. We're going to make a stop there, and we are going to then head out into Innsbruck. Your hotel, you literally go left, right, and across the street, and this is what you're looking at. And this is where this town is a beautiful walkable city. So you will have a choice on tour as to what type of cultural tour you would like to get. If you want a historical and cultural tour, you can get that, or you can get the architectural tour. And the historical and cultural tour, you'll basically see the summer palace of Maria Theresa, and you'll get a chance to see a lot of the Tellurian impact of that particular area. The architectural tour, you'll get a chance to go out and see things like the long jump from the Winter Olympics, and also see the base landing area. If you overshoot your landing, on the other side of it, there's a cemetery, so it's kind of interesting to be able to go see that as well. But the architectural tour. From there, we're going to take a day trip out into Salzburg. So for you Sound of Music folks, you'll get a chance to experience a wonderful day that day, featuring the Mirable Gardens and Peter's Cemetery. And we'll show you some of the churches, as well as the birthplace of Mozart, and then obviously get a chance to try some of that famous strudel. That evening, we're going to take you to one of the most famous restaurants in that entire region. And this is the St. Peter restaurant. It is an amazing restaurant. And no, you do not have to dress up to go to this restaurant. So you will have some free time to explore a little bit on your own. And that evening, you will experience a Tylorian folk show. So that'll be a dinner in a theater and dancing, etc. And then the next day, we're going to take you into the heart of Bavaria and show you the Lindorf Palace. You will get a chance to tour it and the grounds inside and out. And then we're going to show you a couple of the famous churches in that area, show you the beautiful frescoes that lie within. And then you will have a farewell dinner and then depart out at the very end. Now, there is an extension on this tour if you'd like to do that in Vienna. It's 3-night extension. And we stay in an amazing, the Intercontinental there in Vienna. And it's walking distance. I mean, it's walking distance away from the park. And then, of course, you get a chance to go and see the St. Stephen's Cathedral, all of that beautiful stuff that's there. And so there are a lot of beautiful things to see in that city. You can actually go and still see the Spanish horses and the brigade that they train. They actually walk them from one side of the street to the other. You get a chance to see that there, as well as you get to walk in their shopping district and try their famous bratwurst. And so it's also famous because of its Christmas markets as well. And so you'll get a chance to go and see where that is. And that's St. Stephen's Cathedral. What's amazing is when you're walking to it, you'll see the reflection of it in a building that's just across from it. They have an entire glass building, just glass, panes of glass all the way up. And you'll see the entire reflection of this church reflected into that building. And then you come around the corner and you'll see this beautiful church there. And then you'll have a performance that evening. It's going to feature a lot of classical music that you would have would know. So you'll have a nice dinner that evening, and then go out and see a classic performance that is done for you. And then the next day, we'll take you out and show you the Schönbrunn Palace. It is exactly 1/4 the size of Versailles in Paris. And so you will get a chance to explore the grounds and the beautiful gardens and everything that lie out back. And yes, at one point they opened all of the windows in there during the night to capture all of the cool breeze. And then during the day, they closed all the windows in an effort to trap it all. Amazing, amazing place to go see them. And then, of course, we'll turn you loose and let you have a little bit more free time before you then depart out. Now, one thing that we do on all of our tours, we do a hometown pickup. We'll pick you up as a group, take you to the airport, and bring you back as a group. If you live elsewhere and you live within 50 miles of a major airport, and I'm going to include Huntsville, Atlanta, Nashville, Memphis, etc. If you live within 50 miles of any major airport, we'll pick you up at your house in a sedan and take you to the airport and bring you back in the same fashion. And that's inclusive of any of our air-inclusive packages. You can also upgrade to elite airfare. You can upgrade if you'd like to stay a couple of days after the trip, fly in a couple of days early, do a back-to-back tour if you'd like to do that. Just let us know if what your ambitions are. Our travel insurance is unique to the travel industry in that you can cancel up to the day prior to departure and get all of your money back, no questions asked. It is a bad hair day policy. You don't give us a reason to cancel. You say, I don't want to go on this trip. And we give you the money back that you invested in the trip. The only thing that you would not get back would be the cost of the insurance itself. When you're on tour, it is your medical insurance. So it covers medical evacuation, trip interruption, lost luggage, etc. So it covers every aspect of the tour when you get on tour. And the loyalty program, if you travel on one tour, just for being loyal to UAB, you will get an additional $150 off of your next tour. If you travel within 2 years of your previous tour, you'll get $100 off on your next tour. So you do need a passport when you're traveling internationally, and that includes Canada, and must have at least 6 months validity, although we say 8 months just to give you a little bit more of a buffer, but 6 to 8 months validity on it. And then starting in 2024, there is a European visa in some countries, but for domestic travel, they want me to talk about the domestic travel ID, the real ID. And so if you have that on your driver's license already, then that's great for domestic travel. But for international travel, this is the travel visa. And basically, when you purchase it, it's good for 3 years from the date you purchase it. You simply go online, $7.70, and it's good for 3 years. And that's going to go into effect starting in 2024. You can sign up in person. You can sign up online. You can call the 800 number. There is a web link inside of the brochures, and that have a unique travel sign up number pertaining to the respective tour. And you can make payments along. Payments must be done at least 6 months prior to departure, unless the tour specifies otherwise. And then final payment is 60 days prior. We don't care how you get there. You can make payments at your discretion, and as long as you're paid 60 days prior to departure. So obviously book early and save. There's all sorts of discounts out there. If you've got other things that are that you would like to add, you can take advantage of everything that we have to offer as far as that goes. And that is the presentation, and I'll open it up to Greg and if you have any questions or anything like that.
Fantastic. And I do want to tell the audience that we specifically choose all of our trips, whether it's with Collette or other travel partners, because of great interest. Jack and I, gosh, we've been working together, I think, for 6-7 years now. And we're very specific to what we pick because we think it's going to really appeal to you, our alumni travelers. And you don't have to be an alum to travel. If you have a group of people, that's fantastic. Obviously, we want our alumni to go on these trips together. But if you have friends, if you have family, please, 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 go ahead, feel free. You can invite those as well. Drop any questions that you have in the chat. We have plenty of time for Q&A if we have them. I do want to mention, Jack, too, that with the parking, we've started parking at the Alumni House. So we'll block off a section of spots for trips that have several people to be at the Alumni House, congregate, travel together. Do want to point out Memorials of World War II. The seat reduction date is Sunday, October 15th. This one is a late one on the books, but we do think we can still do well. We already have a couple of people signed up for this trip. If you're interested in that, it should be a fantastic adventure. The Canadian Rockies Glacier National Park for next July, seat reduction, January 9th. As Jack said, this should be a very popular trip during the Stampede. Fantastic views, wonderful trip. And then the seat reduction for Discover Switzerland, Austria, and Bavaria, which that trip is September to October 2024, is March 29th, 2024. Again, if you have questions, drop them in the chat. We have plenty of the time. I know we have plenty of people in the room, so go ahead. This is your time to get those questions answered. We typically try to do 2 different sessions with Collette each year, one in person, one online. That way we can just reach more people. And this just happens to be the one that we're doing virtually. Obviously, the setup's a little bit different when we're in person, and Jack's able to rub elbows with all of y'all. With this, though, it's a little bit different. If you have those questions, you just can't belly up to them. However, I will, if you need to get in touch with Jack, we will make that happen. So Jack, when it comes to these trips, what should people be looking for when they are expecting, like the group sizes? What can they expect?
Yeah, the groups sizes on these tours, the bus holds 49. We never take it that far, but as far as the average group size, it's generally in the mid 30s.
And this is a mix of, sometimes it's because I think it was the World War II one. There's a cruise down the Seine, but there's also bus trips. So what is the kind of general makeup of these? Does it depend on the trip? What can people expect?
Yeah, it just depends on the tour. I mean, with any of our bus tours, we're never going to keep you on the motor coach longer than 2 hours. That's just a general philosophy on what we do. And each day you'll leave the hotel between 8:30 and 9. You'll either tour in the morning and have the afternoon off, or vice versa. And if we're multiple nights in a destination, we generally give you a full free day as well. So you're not going to be that cliche tour where it's, you wake up every single day and you're moving around to a new location and you're never staying in the same bed twice and whatnot. And so that is not our philosophy. In fact, we have many different lines of tours. Some tours we even have that are just one hotel stays because of that. So we try to mix it up on all of them.
And Tammy, for you, yes, we are going to come up with a communication plan where we do a better job communicating out. We always have all of our trips online, alumni.uab.edu/travel, but we will come up with specific targeted messaging for each of the trips so you know what to expect, when the seat reduction is, and all of that. She wanted to get on Ireland, Jack, and that was a very popular one. We've done that one twice, and both times we've had a dozen plus individuals go on those trips. What makes Ireland, let's just say, I know it's not one of these 3 trips, but what makes Ireland so special?
It's English speaking, number one. It's isolated from the rest of Europe. They clear customs in Ireland, so it's a very good intro to Europe tour if you've never been out of the country. The people are unbelievably friendly. And the way that we do that particular destination, the owner of Collette is Irish. So we have 10 different Ireland programs that we offer throughout the company. We have a 7-day, 8-day, 10-day, 13-day, and we have Ireland with the UK, Ireland with Scotland, and we also have a small group tour that's 24 passengers that goes out to the Aran Islands and all that stuff too, and stays in castles. No matter what Ireland tour you go on with us, you're guaranteed to stay in a castle.
And go over the ETIAS, the electronic travel authorization for Europe again. Who is that targeting? Is it January 1st, 2024? Any trip after that, people have to apply?
It's only certain countries within the EU. So there are 24 countries on that list so far. Italy is not on the list yet, but I expect it to be at some point. Basically, in a nutshell, what that is, it's like having the Star ID, but for traveling to Europe. They want to make sure we are who we say we are when we're going to those countries. So it's just an added step. And a lot of those forms we used to fill out in flight, like Germany, for instance, used to go in flight about 2 hours before you land. You'd fill out a form and you had to use your passport. You had to get it out in flight and you had to turn it in to customs when you landed. This is basically doing that before you even get on the trip. And it's good for 3 years. Once you purchase it, you do it online, it's instant. And like I said, it's good for 3 years. So I would wait till you get closer into your closest departing international trip before you purchase it for the first time. And
Tom asks, to get more info or even to sign up for a trip, do we go to the website for Collette? And you can do one of a couple of things, Tom. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link again in the chat just so it's nice and accessible. You can click on this link. You can go to our website. It'll bring you to ours. Search the the topic, whichever trip you're after, Memorials of War, Canadian Rockies, Discover Switzerland, open it up, go down to read more. Once you go to read more, that'll take you over to the Collette site. And once they're on the Collette site, what can they expect, Jack?
So there is a registration form there if you'd like to do that. If you'd like to kind of cruise through and just see if there are other destinations you'd like to look at too, you can certainly have access to them. And just let us know if you're wishing to try any of these other ones, and make sure you tell us that you are with UAB, and then you'll be able to get the discounts associated with that if you're traveling outside of the group. Now, if you're traveling on one of these 3 selected trips, then you would go into the link and you would basically just fill out the information. In fact, we prefer it that way. There are less grammatical errors because if you fill out a form, basically you mail it into us. A lot of us have bad handwriting, like myself. I'm left-handed, so airlines are charging astronomical change fees these days. So we prefer people to go in online and make the reservation, and then you'll instantly get a payment receipt, and it'll get sent to you in an email and whatnot. And then you can actually go on it at your leisure and see how much you paid and see the remaining balance and all that stuff from there. So very, very turnkey. And again, it's associated. Each link is going to have its own booking number. And as you can see at the top right corner, there's an 800 number, and it says, please refer to booking number. And it's got the booking number there if you happen to call in. And then you can sign up now. You can actually go in the top left corner to sign up now if you'd like to do that, or you can request more info. In that, they'll send you a digital version of the brochure, which you are currently looking at here for this particular tour.
And all of the trips will have that request more info or sign up now when they are available. Not just this Memorials of World War II. That was just the first one that I pulled up. Jack, let me go ahead and see if there's any more questions in the chat. There aren't any, so I'll tell our audience this one more time as we start to say goodbye. If you do have questions, just reach out. Email me at alumni@uab.edu, and I will forward those questions to Jack. He's very responsive. Jack, I don't think I've had any issues with you with any kind of Q&A that we've had with any of our guests. He's helped people when they've needed help, and he's given them guidance when they needed guidance. So, Jack, as we wrap up, any last words before we go?
Hope to see you on one of the trips. And travel is exciting right now. I mean, a lot of folks are going places all over the world, even places you wouldn't think people would be wanting to travel to. Even with the situation going on in Israel this past weekend, we had groups on the ground over there. They were sent home against their will. They wanted to continue on and do the tour, and we're just not going to put people in harm's way. But people were still signing up for Israel next spring, even though what's going on in Israel right now. So I mean, there's a lot of folks that have their faith in us because they know we're going to take care of them every step of the way.
Awesome, Jack. Thank you so much again for joining us and taking time out of your evening.
Thank you.
And a quick reminder for our guests, if you're interested in the Memorials of World War II trip, act fast before the seat reduction date on Sunday. Also, if you want to go back and take a look at the trips, a replay will be made available on our website tomorrow. As an attendee tonight, you will receive an email once it's ready. Well, we'd love for you to join us in person for our 15th annual Uncork Education on November 2nd. Join us to support scholarships through this fun event that includes Blazer Plinko, Collapse a Bounce, wine and beer tasting, and a live and silent auction. Auction items can already be viewed online, and we're adding to those almost daily. Register for the full in-person experience for $60 and get access to all of the fun I just mentioned. Can't make it? It's okay. Bid for free. But registration is required. Check it all out at handbid.app.link/uncork or visit our website and look for Uncork Education. Also, as we get ready to say goodbye here, we want to know your feedback. What did you think about today's webinar? What did you think about Jack? What did you think about our trips? Let us know. What do you want to see down the road? Go ahead and point your phone at that QR code and you will go to a very, very brief survey to complete that information. Once again, thanks so much for joining us for today's presentation. And as always, go Blazers.